This week, 4 separate surveys have suggested house prices are down. It's still a huge struggle to even get on the property ladder at the moment, of course. Penny? It's tricky to make sense of it all, isn't it?
It is, and we've got Henry Pryor in a moment to help us through questions that we need answering about the housing market. It is a confusing time. Plenty of figures to baffle us. On Monday, the Land Registry said house prices fell last year, but Building Society nationwide said house prices went up slightly. So it certainly is a confusing time to move, especially if you're a first-time buyer. And from March, the stamp duty holiday for first-time buyers comes to an end. Rupert Austin and his wife are first-time buyers in Harrogate.
Ultimately want a home, not potentially an investment that could lose you money or make you money. We just want a home ultimately. You look at prices in here and you think, well, 7, 8, 9 years ago, they were probably half that price. The family houses are all far, far above and away from the average wage, aren't they?
Well, here with me all morning is housing expert Henry Pryor. Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, Penny.
We saw Rupert there in the film. What's keeping him off the market, keeping him off the ladder?
Well, a combination of things, I'm afraid, is going to keep him off, not least of all nerves, I suspect. The housing market is very jittery just at the moment, and it's very difficult for both buyers like them and for sellers to understand exactly which way, what the direction is going to be of prices.
So tell us. Up or down over this year? What's your prediction?
I think over the short term, certainly the trend at the moment is that both asking prices and sale prices are both starting to slide gradually lower. We saw the Land Registry, probably the most reliable of various indexes, talking about a fall through 2011 of 1.5% across England and Wales. But we have to remember that there are huge regional differences. If I was to tell you that, for example, in central London, in Kensington and Chelsea, bankers and oligarchs saw their house prices rise by 7% last year.
Do you know, I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. It just annoys me because actually across the country, sorry, you're not annoying me, but across the country, huge falls in North East, in Wales. Affordability is a question, isn't it, rather than house prices per se? Absolutely,
but we have to remember that if you're thinking, as these people were, about getting into the housing market at the moment, that house prices can fall, just as you say, just as they can rise. So we've seen in Hartlepool, according to the Land Registry, prices down 17.5%. In Northern Ireland, house prices in parts of Northern Ireland are down 30% since the peak of the market. And people, if they're getting into the housing market, need to appreciate that prices can fall as well as rise.
It's almost better if you're trying to get into the market because it is a buyer's market. If you're stuck in a property in negative equity, there's not much you can do, is there?
There isn't a great deal you can do, but you have to remember that if you're moving from one house to another, as opposed to coming in at the bottom as a first-time buyer or coming out at the top of the housing market, then if you're moving in the same market, prices are just relative. And if you take a hit on your own house, the chances are that the house you want to buy will be that much cheaper too. The problem that most people have who are trying to move at the moment is they've seen their equity almost evaporate in front of their eyes, and as a result they're finding it very difficult to get together the kind of deposits that lenders require in order for them to be able to move on. OK, well, plenty more on that, and plenty people have been tweeting me with questions. We'll be answering them later on. Henry's going to be here. Please do get in touch, and you can find me on Twitter at Penny Haslam or email the programme in the usual way. Plenty more on that. Should you buy a property to let out, for example?
Well, just let Henry go and recover.
Yes, I was going to say.
Browbeating.
He's coming back for more.
Big house prices are annoying, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Penny, clearly,
He's in feisty mood today.
He is.